Alright guys, today on this channel, it is Tissot time, because if there's one complaint I get regularly from you guys, it's that the time teller doesn't talk about Tissot enough. So I'm gonna fix that by showing you guys one of my own Tissots that I've been hiding from you. Okay, so when you hear Tissot Visodate, one of these probably comes to mind, right? A very prolific, fairly common, kind of entry-level dress watch, right? And when you hear Tissot C-Star, one of these probably comes to mind, right? Kind of a modern, funky dive watch, very sporty, and yeah, just your typical rotating bezel. It's a sports watch, right? But what comes to mind when you hear Tissot Visodate C-Star? It's like they've mashed them together. It's 1:39 p.m. Let's get down to business. Alright guys, so Tissot's been making watches for a very, very long time, since the 1800s in fact, but I found their sweet spot to be around the 1960s to the 1970s, and during that time they made a ton of really cool gems, really funky, fun watches that you can actually wear every day. Like, they were very robust watches. And a great example of that era is this Tissot Visodate C-Star PR516, a very, very cool watch. So let's go ahead and take a closer look and we'll talk about some of the specs of this baby. Okay, so on paper, this PR516 measures in at 34.5 millimeters, but it wears a bit bigger than that. I'd compare it to like my Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical 38 millimeter, and again, I'm wearing it on a single piece NATO. I kind of wear it like a little field watch. And speaking of straps, this has got 18 millimeter lugs, and when you rotate the watch, you see that domed acrylic crystal, and you get all that beautiful vintage acrylic crystal distortion. Some people hate it. I absolutely love it. You're getting a date complication. We'll talk some more about that in a moment. And this watch is powered by Tissot's 21 jewel caliber 7842 rhodium plated shock resistant automatic movement. I had to look at my notes there for a moment. Now, this watch was listed as being waterproof, and it was even marketed as their dive watch, right? Being a C-Star, but you know, it's I don't know if I'd use it as a dive watch nowadays. I'd probably just keep it on this NATO and wear it like a field watch. And it's actually really funny to think of this as a dive watch back in the 1960s when this watch came out, because it really doesn't share any of the commonly accepted attributes of what we think of when we think of a dive watch, right? No external rotating bezel, no big crown, oversized crown. It's just kind of a small subdued watch. Just an understated little piece that's really easy to wear. And speaking of wearing it, let's go ahead, take off my other Swatch Group watch, right? This is a vintage Omega Seamaster. We'll go ahead, take it off, and throw on this C-Star, this Visodate C-Star. Alright, here it is, my Tissot Visodate C-Star PR516 on my 7.5 inch wrist. Now guys, I just realized something really funny. I have a vintage Tissot Visodate C-Star, kind of a vintage dive watch on my wrist, and I was just wearing a 1970s Seamaster. Both of these being vintage dive watches, and they don't look like dive watches at all from today's standpoint. Just really cool to see how far watches have come, and I know the first dive watch did have a rotating bezel, right? The Blancpain 50 Fathoms, and then soon after that, the Rolex Submariner. But again, things have changed. Things have gone in different directions, and then gone full circle, and then blah, 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 blah. But yeah, nowadays, dive watches have oversized crowns and rotating bezels. All right, guys, so I said earlier that I'd talk about the date complication, and I'm very, very, very picky about date windows, okay? Incredibly picky, and this is actually my favorite part about this watch, okay? Because it's not the kind of boring square. It's actually a very interesting shape, and when you get up close, you can see it actually has sloped cuts on the edges. Just adds a whole new level of detail, and I just love it. Man, I wish Tissot would make watches like this nowadays. Such a beautiful piece. Now guys, I mentioned I'm wearing this on a single piece NATO strap, kind of a vintage military NATO strap, but you can find the original bracelets for this watch online in certain places, but I wouldn't really trust them. They're often really stretched and chewed up, and again, they kind of look a little bit ratty, so there's no way I'm gonna wear this watch on a bracelet. But guys, I'm just making this episode to share with you kind of the absolute joy of vintage watch collecting, right? If you spend some time, you dedicate some time to snooping around the internet and learning about the history of some of the watch brands we know today, you'll probably find that they made some really interesting watches in the past, and this is just one example of it. So guys, full disclosure, I'm going to be totally honest, there aren't a lot of modern Tissots that I like, and that's probably why I haven't mentioned them too much on this channel, but you spend a little bit of time and you go back in time a little bit, 1960s, 1970s, man, did Tissot make some really cool watches. So guys, I have a little task for you. What's your favorite vintage Tissot, and do you own any? Leave me a comment, I want to hear from you. And guys, I want to thank you so much for supporting the channel and getting me past 70,000 subscribers. That is absolutely mind-boggling. That is so cool, guys. Thank you so much. If you want to go above and beyond and support the channel even further, go ahead, click the link in the description below and shop at the Time Teller shop. I got watches, watch winders, watch straps, watch toolkits even. Really the one-stop shop for the watch collector like you, so click that link and shop around, and it helps me out a ton. And if you're new here, if this is your first time joining us here at the Time Teller channel, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by. Seriously, click that subscribe button, click that little bell icon so you do not miss an episode of the Time Teller. YouTube does a terrible job notifying my subscribers when I upload, and you do not want to miss out. I am telling you, like, comment, subscribe, share this with other watch enthusiasts, other people that you think would enjoy this. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time, I just tell it. Real quick, if you enjoyed this episode, then do not worry, the fun doesn't need to stop here. Check out these recommended episodes that are going to be popping up on the screen anytime now. Also, take a moment, check out my brand new channel, the Time Away channel. It's where I talk about everything outside of the watch world, some of my other collections, some of my other hobbies, and if you're not interested in any of that, don't worry, just stay right here, and I will see you right here. Because I never leave. I am trapped inside of this camera. Tricked you, double dab. Earl Grey.